hello. How is it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, 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 welcome. Interestingly enough, Arsenal actually have won a game for a change. And the game actually was pretty dominant. 3-0, light work, nothing too much to boast about in that regard. 3-0 win, more or less. I don't even want to say more or less, to be honest. This game was very, very convincing. We dominated in almost every single aspect of the game. Didn't allow them to do much. They didn't start Chris Wood. And I generally kind of believe that this international break per se came at the right time. Because that kind of also ruined the momentum that was given to Nottingham Forest, which they were in. Which ultimately led to the fact that they weren't as good as they maybe would have been if we played them before the international break. Obviously, that is the case. But at the end of the day, 3-0 win, light work, Arsenal won, which is quite fantastic to see. I'm going to make this a bit more centered before we kick things off, because it's doing my head in. I'm kind of a bit of an OCD in that regard. But yeah, big up Nathan, big up Nathan, big up. First of all, Jorginho needs more respect. Like, in the first half, he was decent. He was nothing exceptional in my opinion, but he was very, very decent in ball distribution and passing and everything. The thing is, though, you can see that he lacks legs. That is one thing I'm gonna put solely against him, because he got a yellow card as well. He got subbed off of half time, and to be honest, that substitution for a change worked like a charm, with Partey scoring a long distance banger of a goal, making it 2-0. But Jorginho actually held his own, given the fact that he actually hasn't played much this season. He has played 2 games from bell to bell. That was against, obviously, in Cup, against Preston and against Bolton. We'll see if he plays against Crystal Palace. But ultimately, yeah, today was very comfortable, very solid performance. We did what we needed to do. We actually got a win. Hopefully, this kind of puts us into the progress that we actually can build up some momentum. Because next game we have to play, overall, since we have only 10 games left in this calendar year, is in Champions League. It's away, it's against Sporting Lisbon. And that game will be a whole different animal, especially given the fact how historically bad we do against Portuguese sides. Against Porto, we all saw that last year. Against Lisbon Sporting, we saw that 3 years ago and everything. It was a shit show. So that, for me, is the biggest worry at the end of the day. Yeah, you said 3-1, I think, didn't you? You said 3-1, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. But we won. That is the big thing that counts. I said 2-1. It was a cautious 2-1, and mostly because, well, Arsenal were not playing great. But today, it was completely different story. And as I said in the beginning of the stream, I generally believe it was not solely, but the big influence also was the international break, because Arsenal got pretty much every single best player back, which was obviously fantastic. We saw how everything went because of them. But also, having this international break can kill momentum of teams that are rallying, that are on very good form, that are on top of, basically on cloud 9 in a sense. And that, I think, also happened to Nottingham Forest. They also held bench, and we had more time to prepare. We got our best players back. But I'm not taking any credit away from our players. Ultimately, today we got the job done, and we actually played pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie, we played pretty damn good today. 3-0 win, Saka's goal, the first goal we scored. Oh my goodness gracious, that was some fantastic, phenomenal stuff. It generally, how he went, that Odegaard little dink pass in the path was chef's kiss, pretty much. And how Saka took it, then he went, just drove pretty much all across what it felt like the penalty box, and then smashed it in a crossbody. With full-on power and everything. Low-key reminded me of Arjen Robben. If you know Robben and you know how he used to play, like, he was pretty much a one-trick pony. He had only the left foot, but ultimately he was doing every single game the same thing, and it never could have been defended, pretty much, if you get what I mean. So it kind of low-key reminded of that. I'm not saying Saka is as good as Robben. I'm not saying he's that great, but there were some glimpses of that. And I would love to see Saka do that more often. Ultimately, it also was a bit of a surprise to see that Chris Wood wasn't starting. He was on the bench, but even when he came on, he didn't do much. But Arsenal overall, it looks like getting their best players back obviously means that we actually can play some proper football. The issue with this is, as soon as one of them falls out, we are in a bit of a panic mode and we don't know what to do. And that, for me, is the biggest issue overall. And to be honest, Nathan is on spot on here as well. I'm not gonna lie, this game should have ended maybe 5-6 nothing. I'm not gonna lie, 5-6 nothing easily. We should have been, as he says, 3-0 up at first half, 2-0 to 3-0, even 4-0 could have potentially been. And we could have scored more in the second half. And we were not clinical enough. And that for Arsenal has been the biggest issue overall. This season it's showing like no tomorrow. It also was showing last year. Last year it was mostly in the first part of the season, second part of the season it was less of a problem. But again, we need that clinical striker. We need that clinical thing today. We need that clinical striker still, because we got 19 shots and 7 on target. We created quite a few chances. The thing is, it was against Forest, and that as weird as it sounds, it's great that we created that against Forest. But if we could create this stuff against Sporting Lisbon and actually convert, it would mean more to me in these terms. Because at the moment, Arsenal, no matter how things go in this calendar year, still we have no margin for error. Because although City are looking quite awful, they just got thrashed by Spurs, by the way, 4-0. And that is actually quite in the favor of Arsenal in terms that we close the gap to City. Now, if only Liverpool could lose, that would be a whole different thing. But yeah, overall, starting 11 was very weird. Jesus on the right, Trossard started, Jorginho started, Partey didn't start. There were some weird things. But for the biggest things for me is Jesus is done at Arsenal. I'm sorry, but Jesus offers nothing at Arsenal at the moment. He's useless. We might as well put Win the Dog on that right wing. We will get more energy from him. Because, Jaylee, Jesus played for about... Didn't he play whole 90 or did he get a sub? I'm sorry. I'm missing this. Jesus didn't get subbed off. He played full 90. He genuinely played a full 90. And for what? Because from the whole game, only thing I remember from Jesus was about 26 minutes. He took off a shot from Merino, and then he tried to curl it far post, and he missed the goal. That's it. Rest of the stuff, I didn't even know he was playing. I'm not gonna lie. It generally felt like he wasn't even on the pitch. Like, he needs to go. In January, sell him, don't care. He sits on the bench, he doesn't add any value. Only takes our money, he goes on the pitch and he doesn't add any value as well. However, there is a small counterpoint to this. When he was, if you watch the game, and I hate that I have to use this as a sort of a excuse to justify him playing, but the way he was rotating around in the pitch, like we were shifting and moving between Trossard and that was working very well. It opened up gaps in certain spaces where basically Merino ran in, Odegaard had a chance to run in, and we took advantage of that. Even Timber was running in those spaces from right back, and we took advantage of that. But ultimately, yeah, Jesus has to go. He's useless, I'm not gonna lie. He's here to be a striker, not a space invader, basically. He's here to score goals, and he can't do anything right at the moment. So for me, Jesus has to go, ultimately, at the end of the day. If we touch a bit on Jesus, but no Didi and stuff, but you get. Odegaard, generally, that pass he did that was great pass. Genuinely great pass. The thing is, though, Saka took about 5 touches until he scored a goal. It's a bit of a issue that he gets assist for that. Because assist should be that one that you get the ball in player's path, 1-2 touches, and he just scores. This is now starting to look like hockey, basically. The last one who touched the puck counts as an assist, basically. Something like that. It's a weird one, but I guess it is what it is. It's the world of football, as at least we don't count pre-assists as well at the moment, because then our XA and stuff like that would be through the roof. But overall, yeah, Arsenal today surprised me, I'm not gonna lie. Arsenal surprised me big time. We actually played some proper football today. Arguably, quote-unquote, one of the there's not much to choose from, but for me, one of the best games they have played this season. There's one half against Liverpool, game against PSG. Those are the 2 measuring sticks. And to be honest, against Nottingham Forest, we measured up to that. So nothing much. If we can play like this against Lisbon Sporting, then we can start talking, obviously. But Sporting Lisbon away is a whole different thing, and we don't do very well away in the Champions League games. We haven't scored a goal in away Champions League games this year still. So this will be arguably the last chance to do that. So fingers crossed, I guess. And Saka, yeah, Saka was on fire. And Nwaneri, to be honest, every single time he comes on, he plays, he touches the ball. It's something unique, something special in a way that Arsenal don't have it on the pitch when there's Odegaard. Odegaard got assist, I get it. But overall, yes, he's one of the guys that the ball goes through and he gets the ball ticking, if that makes sense. But ultimately, he has one of the biggest issues I have with modern day footballers quite a bit. The same issue with Jesus and other certain number 10s and number 9s in the world, and even wingers. They hold on to the ball too much. Because the way Arsenal should be playing football is quick passing, pass and goal, triangles and everything, movement and stuff like that. Odegaard tends to receive the ball and then take about 5-6 touches, and it kind of kills the momentum and directness of the attack. And there were some instances when we were going on a counter and Odegaard gets the ball and he takes like extra 3-4 touches and the passing lane is gone, the player is covered, and it kind of stops us deadly in our tracks when we counter. So that for me is one of the biggest issues with Odegaard. One of the biggest issues you can have. And he has no right foot. Although the right foot pass to Saka for that counter, which we again screwed up, that was actually quite decent, I'm not gonna lie. But Odegaard, as much as you can see that with him we can actually try and create something, the fact that he holds on to the ball is very, very annoying. And if we play against teams who like to smother you, who instantly are on you like, I don't know, like bees on honey basically, like obviously Inter, Atalanta, not to mention, for example, Atletico Madrid from Diego Simeone and teams like that, or even Klopp in his prime days, he goes missing instantly, and that is one of the biggest issues with Odegaard. He's used to playing that way, and as soon as you take that away from him, it really is visible, really visible, and that's why I think as much as people like to praise Odegaard, that they like him and everything, I'm still 50-50 about him, I'm not gonna lie, because of these issues. That's why there is something to it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not taking credit away from him, but he definitely could do a bit better if we got some quick pass and move action going on. Odegaard, Saka, best duo no chance. No. Don't do it. It's one game. Yes, there is some longevity over the last few seasons, but let's not do this. Let's not. What is this obsession with overhyping these things? This is a bit of an obsession. I'm not gonna lie. That is something I'm not getting into, genuinely. But I respect your opinion. If you believe so, it's your choice to believe it. I don't. I genuinely don't. Yeah, big up BX Gunner in the chat. Big up my guy. Big up my guy. Big up. Arsenal won today. For once, I'm happy in a very long time. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, who was it? Yeah, Marlon also touched on Nwaneri. Pause. Nwaneri, whenever he comes on, he provides something unique, something special on the pitch in terms of energy, in terms of movement, and in terms of creativity that Arsenal in general many times are missing on the pitch. And whenever he comes on, he has never felt out of place in the game, and he many times when he comes on is doing more than other players. For example, Jesus played the whole 90, did pretty much fuck all. I'm sorry for swearing. But Nwaneri comes on for 10-15 minutes, ball carrying, takes on opponent, pass, first time shot, by the way, instead of Odegaard, who would take about 5-6 touches, by the way, and he instantly scores. He gives us that directness, that different dynamic that pretty much Arsenal had when they were playing Emil Smith-Rowe consistently. And as soon as he came out of the team, we were missing a ball carrier in a way. And Nwaneri provides us with that, which is something that many times when we play against other teams, they know that we don't have that on the pitch, so they don't focus on it as much. But as soon as Nwaneri comes on, it's one of his strong suits in a way, ball carrying and dribbling. And that is something many times, especially towards the end part of the game when everyone's tired, drained, stamina is kicking in, fitness maybe not be at its best, it really takes players off guard, opposing sides when they defend. And that is something I really, really like. But that doesn't justify the fact that he should have been starting instead of Trossard or Merino as at the 10 against Leicester, Bournemouth and teams like that, by the way. Where were we? Arteta played Saliba right back when Timber went off. The less spoken on it, the better. But yeah, that is a bad thing. That is a bad thing. Surprised Gabriel started over Havertz today and Martinelli didn't play well. Do you think about Calafiori played and Zinchenko but I'm surprised that Havertz didn't start, I'm not gonna lie. But he plays for Germany, it might be a bit different. Martinelli not starting actually was a good thing. Because Martinelli is very hit and miss against teams that park the bus against us. And today you could see it. As soon as the teams go very defensive against us and we are holding the most of possession, we need a player who can dribble in tight spaces and who can play off a shoulder, like get a touch and turn and run in between the lines and receive the ball. And Trossard is more suited for that, if that makes sense. So I think Martinelli not playing in this game actually was pretty damn good. But yeah, although against Sporting Lisbon, I would play Martinelli. It's not a preview, by the way, but I'm already telling you that much. That Martinelli should be starting against Sporting Lisbon, because I just strongly feel that Sporting Lisbon at home, especially with Gyökeres, Gonçalves, and players like the Huimland, Inacio, and player Diomande, and of course blah blah blah, all the players, they will go on the attack. So there will be gaps for him to run, overcommit, and everything. So I definitely believe there will be some good things for him. Yeah, Jesus is useless. But would you take Kulusevski as Saka Odegaard back if he would be? No chance. No. I don't need any Spursy in the team. There are certain players, damn hot. There are players that have worked out, well, one basically, in Sol Campbell. Otherwise, I don't want any Spurs players. It's bad enough that we take City rejects, Chelsea rejects, but if we start to take Spurs rejects, oh my god, not gonna lie, oh my god. I saw someone selling the Jesus kit from the United game when he sent Dalot sliding. That told me he's... To be honest, at that time when the hype was so high, that kit, by the way, probably would be selling for quite a bit of money at the time, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Jesus is spending too much time on a build-up, far too behind to be in a... Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't even have... And when he does get it, he has the same issue as Odegaard. First of all, he holds on to the ball too much. He needs too many touches. And second of all, he has not as much, but similar issue like Odegaard. He has no weak foot. Because Jesus mostly shoots predominantly with his right. He has the right... He has his left foot. Basically, it's not like for Robben, just for standing, or for Odegaard, just like for standing, pretty much. But for Jesus, it's more usable, but he doesn't use it as much, and I think that also kind of ruins him for us in the attack. If we want to have more directness and more dangerousness in the attack, in the final third, especially up top, we need a player who can finish with both feet consistently. And in my opinion, Jesus doesn't provide that. And obviously in that instance, Isak and Gyökeres, even Osimhen, are the perfect ones because they're tall, so they can basically be like Havertz in high-end situations, and they can finish with both feet. And that is something that Arsenal need, especially if they would play off the shoulder in a way. I'll take an ugly win right now. Yeah, same. At the moment, the thing is, Sporting is one of the few teams that still haven't lost in Champions League. They're playing at home, so that definitely will be a challenge again, because... Do you recall the last times we have played against Sporting away, against Porto away? Porto away in general was a shit show. We should have lost that game about 3-4-0. But Sporting away as well. It was embarrassing. We basically, what was the saying? Shithoused our way into a draw. Because that game was very lucky in terms of how we scored the second goal. And Sporting Lisbon were very good. Oh, big up TK! Big up TK, my guy. Easy money, light work. To be honest, I'm kind of shocked how easy it was. But I strongly believe that international break played some role, plus our best players coming back also was very significant. The international break, I think, also killed the momentum Nottingham Forest were having. And I think currently, I think they will start to drop points more consistent basis. But yeah, 3 points in the books, happy chappy, proper performance. Nwaneri scores, Jesus needs to go right now. And yeah, we have 9 games left this calendar year, and in my opinion, we should win all 9 of them. If we want to have even any slightest of the chance to go for the league at whatsoever, because at the moment I'm putting us maybe 2-3%, even though City are looking quite embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie. I'm putting us at 3% chance of winning the league. And for Champions League, given our away record that we haven't scored an away game in the Champions League so far this year, by the way, just in 2024, it could be rough against Sporting, because last time we played against Sporting, it was hell on earth, and against Porto, it was even worse. Just shows how much we need attacking play. Yeah, exactly. Odegaard return gave us the life. It gave us different dynamic in the attack that we need. And even when Odegaard came off and we put on Nwaneri, it was also even a more different dynamic from Odegaard, more direct and more energetic, and it also was helping us, and it was something that maybe other teams are not prepared for. And it also showed that he should have played instead of Trossard and Merino in the 10 role whilst Odegaard was injured. Now the big question is, can we build off this? Because the biggest thing for Arsenal in the future, especially with Lisbon Sporting coming up and Man United being just around the corner pretty much, and Monaco at home as well, that's another team that still hasn't lost in Champions League. We need momentum going into those games, because I expect some struggle town coming up. United with the new manager bounce, Monaco, who knows what's going to happen there, but Sporting Lisbon definitely needs some more energy and toughness. When Nwaneri was killing Forest defense, I don't see why he didn't. Exactly. That's the thing. That's what every Arsenal fan was saying. Why wasn't he starting? Don't care. Okay, against Liverpool. Maybe. Okay, cool. Against Spurs. Okay, maybe cool. But seems like Southampton, Leicester, Bournemouth, like those teams, we should be doing this, because I'm not gonna lie, if it was Arsene Wenger, he would have thrown Nwaneri in the deep end without shadow of a doubt. I don't know why he was so scared, why we were just putting Merino as a number 10 where he clearly doesn't work and everything. That was a bit of a weird one, I'm not gonna lie. The first touch strike trait is non-existent. Yeah, that is genuinely true. Trossard can do it on occasion. Martinelli, dependently, if he hits it properly, can do it. But overall, most of our players, to do first touch strike, they need to have at least 1 or 2 touches. And that is what many times, when the way how especially we play in these tight spaces where you have basically half a second or even less to release a shot while there is an open gap, an open line to the net, it is necessary. Genuinely, it is necessary, and that's why I strongly still believe we need to basically, we have now 9 games left in this calendar year. In my opinion, there is pretty much we cannot afford to lose any game until the end of the year, because then it will show where we stand before the January transfer window, how close we are to Liverpool, what's happening to Man City, and we maybe could make some sense of where we will land in Champions League and where we will land in Premier League overall. And that could give us maybe some incentive to go in January transfer market and sign a proper player in a specific position. That could do that to us. But that's only as well if we win every single game. Because we are in a spot where we cannot afford to drop points. Because at the moment, every drop point pretty much means there is no chance we are winning anything at the moment. At least that's how I look at it, mostly because, well, we have been the chasers last year, we have been the leaders 2 years ago, and in both instances we haven't gotten over the line. Now with City struggling as much as they are struggling, they lost just 4-0 to frickin' Ange and Spursy, we close the gap to 1 point with them. Liverpool play tomorrow, so hopefully they lose as well, because that would actually close the gap, but you never know because it's Liverpool. But it gives us some sort of a hope that there actually could be some gap, there could be some room for us to still go and actually challenge properly. At the moment, I'm putting us 3-4% to win the league, solely because of the reason that we need to be hella consistent. If we want to win the league, genuinely, from the last, we have played 12 games in Premier League, there are 26 left, we need to win at least 19 I would assume 19 games, not 19? Yeah, 19 games, generally. 19 games we need to win. Then we can sprinkle maybe 3-4 draws and maybe 1 loss. At worst, 2 losses. Maybe then we can do it. But overall, obviously, it's just maths and what ifs. But they are definitely for Arsenal specifically, with Liverpool still having game in hand and then potentially being 9 points ahead if they win, the margin for error is pretty much non-existent at the moment. And that's why we need to go on this winning streak, in my opinion. We need to basically, at least in Premier League, go undefeated, win every single game, and see where we stand before January transfer window. Because then we can actually improve the squad if we actually want to. Although, given the fact that in January we never do good business, besides Aubameyang like 8 years ago, but that was because Alexis left, we don't do that much business in January, like big proper business. Although Liverpool, on the other hand, is straight opposite. They have signed, I think, Diaz, Van Dijk. They have signed some big players in January. And same goes for City. Yes, they're struggling right now, but there are already reports and everything that City Group have given them about 120, 150 million. They already are scouting Zubimendi, backup for Haaland and someone else. They already are planning players they want to sign. Already. And that is the thing. Can Arsenal actually match that? Because at the moment, City are there for the taking. Well, there is a chance. The big question mark is Liverpool. What's going to happen? Because Liverpool's biggest issue is something that Arsenal also has, injuries. Because their midfield is very prone to injuries, and if some of their players go down, they're done almost. Same goes for center backs. Arguably, they need to improve their left back position desperately. Right back is a 50, especially if Trent leaves. Attack is the one that they're the safest in, arguably. Even though Salah is the most consistent finisher they have, their attack actually is the safest spot they have. Saliba and Gabriel were in sync and great today. Raya was basically... Yeah, Raya was chilling. Few crosses he came in, he didn't have to make a save, and only time the ball was in our net, it was due to offside. So that's pretty much safe, done and dusted, controlled performance. If we play like this, I won't be worried about Arsenal. I won't be cussing, I won't be calling for Arteta out. I still want Arteta out, don't get me wrong. But for me, this season he has to win Premier League or Champions League. Because even challenging for the title and getting a Carabao Cup or FA Cup after 5 years is just not good enough. I'm sorry. Nwaneri is ready. We've been screaming this for a month, even more. Exactly. He plays with no regard to the opposition. Like, if you are a more experienced player, you may maybe think, oh, that is Haaland, maybe you should give him some respect or something like that. But Nwaneri just goes on the pitch, he doesn't give a damn who he plays against, he just plays his game. That is the best way to play. No respect to the opposition whatsoever. After the game, yes, you can shake hands, change shirts, or do whatever. But when you play, just don't give a damn. Yeah, he's a go-getter. Arteta will do well if this kid's some more... Yeah, that's the thing. The worry is all the links with Brahim Diaz and Arda Güler. Because they play in that position, that number 10 role, right wing role. And if we sign them, what does that mean for Nwaneri? That means he again falls even further back in the pecking order, given the fact that he actually didn't play whilst Odegaard was injured. That is the big question mark. What happens with Nwaneri then, if we sign one of them on loan? We need new blood in the team, and I think also that is quite evident. In the toothless attack, some lack of ideas, same movements at times. I think our attack is screaming for some new blood in the team, different dynamic in the team that basically gives some extra options, maybe things to reconsider, some attacking moves, some attacking tactics in general, how we create attack. We need that. Because it's same way, sometimes it feels very lethargic, very predictable. It feels like the same old. And we, in a way, feels like sometimes we are stuck in a routine. And we need to somehow get out of this routine. We need some new fresh attackers in the team for sure. Like proper attackers. Don't get me another, I don't know, Maroun Chamakh on loan. Or the French Eddie Nketiah and N'Kolo Muani. Don't get me that. Give me a proper attacker. I thought Trossard was great today. He was decent today. I'm not gonna lie. He was actually pretty decent. The way, even though Jesus was shit and he needs to go in January, in my opinion, he may as well start learning Arabic right now. The way he was switching and interchanging with Trossard to open gaps and maybe throw off the opposition when defending, that actually was very nice for him. But I don't want in the team another space invader like Havertz was when he was playing in the midfield. I don't want that. I generally don't want that. And I'm not gonna lie, without Havertz we look better in the attack. That is also something different. But I genuinely believe that Arteta rested Havertz, Partey and players like that for that game against Sporting Lisbon as well, partially. Yeah, Arteta gambled and won today. Yeah, today was high risk, high reward, and it totally paid off, basically. Now, will it work going forwards? Depends. Depends on the tactics, depends who he puts out, because there are certain teams where these type of gambles could be a moment of madness that works, or could be just a disaster that fails him miserably. Ultimately, it could happen. There are some games that we have still left that they actually could kind of spell it out for us. I'm not saying he's a Spurs reject per se, but I just don't want to sign players that maybe are willing to leave the Spurs go. Like, it's a Spurs player, that is the big thing. If we have to sign a Spurs player, okay, cool. I don't think he wants to because he's a Spurs fan pretty much. But ultimately, Kulusevski at Arsenal, I don't think, I just cannot imagine him working. I can see his qualities, I can see what he's all about when he plays there. But there is something that is throwing me off with him. And I cannot exactly put my finger on exactly what, but there is something that just doesn't scream a sign for Arsenal. There are players which I can see and I just say, yes, he would fit perfectly at Arsenal. And it's not the Spurs gene or something, but there is just something that about Kulusevski says he's not an Arsenal player. Like, there is something about that. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because when we signed, who was it at the time? It was years ago. We signed, I don't know. I think we signed Rosicki, and I said, yep, he is an Arsenal player. He will definitely fit in perfectly, and it worked. But when we, at the same time, there was a player we signed Socrates, for example, and when I was I saw us linked. I said, he's gonna be trouble, and ultimately he was a trouble. He was proper trouble for Arsenal. Remember those days? Socrates, Mustafi, David Luiz, well, Squillaci obviously, Senderos, Marun Shamakh, Debussy, Lichtsteiner, players like that, Juru. Ooh, the good old days, isn't it? Although, on the other hand, I still believe that Nacho Monreal, for example, for Arsenal, is one of the most underrated players in Arsenal ever, pretty much. I strongly believe, I'm going to stand and die by that mountain, but I generally believe that Nacho Monreal is one of the most underrated Arsenal players in Emirates era for sure. What most frustrating is Jesus has all the tools and the talent to be a top player, but he can't. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's also not injuries, because he can't stay fit. Yes, the knee thing is unlucky, but even obviously at City, it's very hard to break out because the team that City has is pretty much top player in almost every single position. But I don't know. I guess if you're good enough, you're good enough. But for when you watch Jesus play, there is that, oh yes, if he can keep this going, he will be phenomenal. And then you watch him 10 minutes later and you just want to get him subbed off. Similarly like with Nicolas Pepe, for example. When he plays, you watch him, when he was at Arsenal. When you watch him, he does some brilliant touch and he scores a banging goal or something like that, and you say, this is the Pepe I want to see. 10 minutes later, he goes down the wing and he basically trips over his own feet and you're screaming, get him off the pitch. There's also that to him. But at Villarreal, he's actually doing pretty damn nice. I'm not gonna lie, he's doing pretty well at Villarreal. Notice how Sterling came on and got an assist. Do you think Arteta is cooking up something with Sterling? Not per se. That assist to Nwaneri was pretty damn straightforward. And that goal was more Nwaneri than anything. He dribbled past the opponent, passed the ball wide, then made a run into the box. Sterling just passed the ball to him. And differently from, for example, Odegaard or Jesus or players like that, he didn't take a touch. He saw the ball and he just went for it and smashed it in pretty much. I think that's just a gaming situation. There's nothing with Sterling like that. Sterling, I think, got subbed on solely because Saka was injured and he needs some time to also recover. And he needs to be ready and prepared for the game against Sporting Lisbon. Because that game can already tell you as much that in that game he will get kicked, elbowed, punched, and pretty much KO'd every chance he will touch the ball. Already can tell you that much. Because Portuguese teams don't take any prisoners, let's be honest ourselves. Yeah, he played 10-15 minutes and he already did more than Jesus in the whole game, for example. That's how he plays, that's how wild that was. I really like Nwaneri, I'm not gonna lie. Just wish he had some more minutes. Arda Güler for us, what do you think? It could work. It could work. For me, the biggest drawback for signing any of these players in Odegaard / backup for Saka situation is what's gonna happen with Ethan Nwaneri. Because at the moment, he is the hottest prospect from Hale End since Bukayo Saka. He has insane amounts of potential, you can see that. He has good footballing IQ, great movement, dribbling. Obviously, he needs to bulk up a bit more, but that he's still young, that will come with age. And he will kind of get better and better, I would assume, so if he can avoid injuries. But the thing is, if we sign Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz, and players like that, it's pretty much specifically for the position he actually plays in. And that, for me, is the biggest question. What's happening with Ethan if we sign them? Because it's all the time it works like that. You have some young player, you sign someone on loan, the young player doesn't get game time, he just pieces the scene. Chidobe Martin did that. He was very hot prospect and he decided not to stay at Arsenal. Because obviously the striker issues and the striker management from Mikel Arteta has been shambolic since he has taken over. He ruined Golden Boot winning Aubameyang, built him up, be paid to get him gone and everything. Lacazette played number 6 half the time, and since then we haven't signed even a striker at Arsenal, let's be real. You could say Jesus is a striker, but he technically isn't even. And he hasn't signed a striker and he hasn't coached a striker, so I guess he saw something there. Maybe, just maybe. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. They're two different, a bit more different players. Sane at right wing or Rafinha, only these two for us at right wing. The thing is, you sign either of those two players, it has to come with guarantees that he's a starter. Because those two players have done enough in World of Football to not to sit on the bench. Because nobody's starting instead of Saka. So only way we can sign Rafinha or Sane, as much as I, for example, don't want Sane at the moment, I much more prefer Rafinha over Sane, then they have to play left wing. That is the only option. Because nobody's gonna come to Arsenal to be a backup dancer for Bukayo Saka, who still about 60 to 70% time doesn't even get subbed off. So there are certain things that need to kind of be taken into account as well. Obviously he limps a lot. It doesn't mean injuries definitely could happen, but we'll see. And we needed to sign Fabian Ruiz. He's not starting at PSG. We needed to hurry and lock him down. I wanted Fabian Ruiz over Merino in general. Why we didn't sign Fabian Ruiz, I don't know. We signed Mikel Merino. I put a tweet out even during the game that Mikel Merino is still a 50-50 for me. There are things he can do and it works quite good. But many times it gets countered by stupid mistakes, some certain passes, and he gets dribbled past, even though he has the best tackling in the team, allegedly, from the midfield. He gets dribbled past like he's a lamppost. Like, pace-wise, he gets done over on a very few occasions. Saw that today as well. That, for me, is a big worry in general. Like, in that regard. I'm watching Atalanta right now. They are top of Serie A. Yeah, Gasperini is cooking there. Nathan is a big advocate for Gasperini to Arsenal, by the way. If you haven't noticed over the months last few. He is a big advocate for Gasperini to Arsenal. Stealing has no intensity. What the hell does that even mean? I think you mean Sterling? I would assume so. So Sterling has no intensity, just goes through the emotion and coasts. But having a right foot, right wing allows for... That's the thing. When Saka plays at right wing, we have a left footer on the right side. When Sterling plays right wing, we have a right footer on the right side. Which means we have certain things we usually don't do there. We have a strong foot on the cross. If we cut in, obviously it's a left foot, so it's not a shot, so it's a bit easier to defend. But again, having the right footer on the right side throws different dynamic into the mix. And that's why, in a way, I'm also a big advocate for Arteta, just that sometimes, just to try it out, mid-game to swap the wings. Put basically Saka from right to left and put Martinelli from left to right, for example. Because that would be a different dynamic, and not just for our attack, but also for the defending team as well. Because that would mean that they would have to switch their attention, because the strong foot now is on the outside. Which again means different type of defending, different type of adjustment during the games as well. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. For CDM backup for us, Baleba or Guimaraes, they would be great for off the bench for us. And I heard Jorginho is leaving. Jorginho is leaving. His contract runs out at the end of the season, and I haven't heard anything that he might actually extend. He's doing the coaching badges as he's playing, so he might become a coach for under 18s or something for Arsenal, potentially, obviously. Second of all, Bruno Guimaraes, there's no chance in hell that he would become a backup dancer at Arsenal. He won't sign for Arsenal unless we guarantee him a starting role, and that is a big issue with this. Obviously, if you have a big team, you need to have players, good players as a backups as well. But Arsenal are not that good of a team to have Guimaraes to sit on the bench. We cannot afford to sign players like that at the moment. Obviously, with Partey potentially leaving at the end of the season, and if he leaves, then sign Bruno Guimaraes, then we can play him, potentially. Maybe that could work, but him off the bench, definitely not. Definitely not. Because he's stealing 100k a week. To be honest, he's stealing double that from Chelsea, isn't it? He's about 400 grand a week at Chelsea. So we pay 100 grand, Chelsea pays nearly 300 grand. So he's still stealing from us less than from Chelsea. Although that would be scenes if Raheem Sterling wins Premier League at Arsenal on 100k a week loan from Chelsea. That actually would be peak, I'm not gonna lie. That would actually be top. That would be very peak for Chelsea in that regard. For example, and to be honest, Matisse, for example, the Chelsea fan, if you watch, I love the guy. I love watching the guy. Matisse would be, or Lewis or someone, they would be just seething. For example, imagine Arsenal have signed Jorginho, Arsenal have signed Havertz from Chelsea, Arsenal have Sterling on loan, and they all three win Premier League at Arsenal. Imagine the scenes, especially after how they laughed at Sterling and Havertz and how they have cussed him for everything, and that would be just out of this world, I'm not gonna lie. That's a content stuff I would love to watch, genuinely. The trolling would be endless, to say the least. So that would be great. Yeah, Partey is getting older, but I still don't know if Partey is staying or going. His contract also runs out after this season. There are rumors that Arsenal are talking about contract extension. At the same time, those talks have gone hella quiet recently. So he's still a coin toss as well for Arsenal, in my opinion. Vitinha would be very interesting. Kimmich won't come. From what I have heard, he actually kind of likes to play under company, so it is what it is. Ruben Neves has passed. That ship has sailed big time. He plays in Al Hilal. I think it was Al Hilal. I don't think Arsenal are signing him whatsoever. I generally don't believe Arsenal will sign anyone from Saudi League. I kind of don't see it. Because there's also nobody to sign from Saudi League for Arsenal at the moment. Look, Ivan Toney maybe, but otherwise there's just nobody Arsenal would sign from Saudi League in general. For striker, Isak, Vlahovic or Osimhen. Wow, Marlon doesn't mention Gyökeres. That is an interesting one. At striker we need kind of a mix of a striker, because we are not signing 2 or 3 strikers, so I don't even know who would be the perfect striker at Arsenal. But Arsenal also are in a situation where we don't need the perfect striker at Arsenal. We need a striker who can put the ball in the net on consistent basis. That is also the case. Yes, we are looking and wanting Gyökeres or Isak or Osimhen or who's the guy Arteta wants? Benjamin Franklin or Benjamin Šeško, the guy, yeah? In a way, Arsenal don't need a very mix of for the perfect striker. They need just a striker that can get the ball into the net. That is also the case. Like, if we manage to sign proper backups, we manage to keep creativity going, the team is free flowing, we actually can create on the attack, and the only thing is that we miss chances in front of the net. It also, this will sound very weird. This will sound weird, but bear with me here. Arsenal actually, in a way, don't need even a world-class striker. This sounds very weird, but bear with me. Arsenal need a striker that can finish consistently. It doesn't mean we need a world-class striker. We just need a striker who is actually very, very good at finishing and who capitalizes on the chances more often than not. Because that's what's missing for Arsenal in front of the net, the clinical aspect of the finishing. So that also, in a way, stands for the reason, because let's be real, Tony isn't world-class, but he would be perfect in a way for us. Arsenal, in a way, don't need world-class striker, even though, obviously, we want world-class players. But we don't need world-class striker. We actually need a proper striker who knows how to finish the ball in front of the net on a consistent basis. But that also doesn't mean that he's world-class. That is actually... Yeah, that actually made sense. That's actually mad. I managed to actually pull it out of the bag to kind of describe it properly. Troop said he will take Jackson over Haaland. At Arsenal? At Arsenal. I can see the argument, but dude, that's a load of waffle, I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot. There is some bias with the stay humble and stuff like that, but it's interesting since Haaland said stay humble. City have hit a lot of very, very dark spell of bad luck, I'm not gonna lie. The dark cards are kicking in on a different level there. But that is a bit of a waffle, I'm not gonna lie. Because how can you take Nicholas Jackson over Haaland? It also depends how you play, personally. For us, the Haaland as well for Arsenal wouldn't be the perfect striker, if that makes any sense. Because we need a player who can hold up the ball, distribute the ball, who can press consistently, and who can find the right spaces. Haaland can do half of those things. He cannot do even all of those things in a way. And he cannot do even some of those things properly. And in that instance, if you look at Nicholas Jackson, he can press, he can run, he can find the spaces, get in between the lines. The only thing that he is lacking per se is consistent finishing, because he will get in front of the net as well. So in that instance, I kind of get the argument as well for taking Jackson over Haaland. As weird as it sounds, by the way. I get it, but I wouldn't want it. I'm just stating that clear right now. It doesn't really look like Joker is a possibility, and we need to take preparations for that. We need a goal-scoring striker. No, we need good... Exactly. The thing is, though, I still believe that Arteta has a tunnel vision in terms of a striker to sign Sesko still. I kind of get that feeling. And if not in January, then definitely in summer, we will revisit him. And I'm not sure that dropping Havertz is due to tactical reasons, give him a rest before Sporting or what, but he usually never dropped Kai Havertz. He usually plays him on a consistent basis, so could that be an indication that that project also has sailed or what? I kind of don't get it, because arguably the sole reason, according to rumors and reports, the reason why Šeško didn't sign for Arsenal was the fact that Arsenal told him that he would be a backup for Havertz. And let's be real, we are not signing a striker if we go to any striker in the world and tell him that Havertz is going to be starter instead of you. So there might be something to it. I might be reading too much into it. Obviously, most likely scenario is the fact that Havertz basically got rested before Sporting Lisbon. That is the obvious reason. But also, could be a bit different. Who knows? Who knows? Or Martinez, he's not playing for Inter and he can get us goals in important... This will sound very bad once I say this, but I don't rate Lautaro Martinez whatsoever. Well, I rate him, but not that highly as other people do. For me, as good as Lautaro Martinez is, for us to play at Arsenal, he would need to be hella more consistent in the attack. Because whenever I watch the guy, he misses some very, very easy chances. I've seen him miss from 2 yards out. I kid you not, I have been watching Inter games. He has missed from 2 yards out. Even in the World Cup for Argentina, he almost was the sole reason why Argentina nearly lost the World Cup as well. That easily could have happened, and that was solely due to Lautaro Martinez throughout the whole season, throughout the whole tournament. As much as many people may want him, for me personally, I don't want him at Arsenal. This sounds very weird take, but I don't rate him as highly. If we want, we might as well keep Giroud if we want that type of a striker. To be honest, Giroud would be perfect in this Arsenal setup. As weird as it sounds. As weird as it sounds. Because if the way he plays, the way he drops off the shoulder, Giroud would be perfect. Genuinely, Giroud would be perfect for Arsenal. Remember when we had Giroud, we were screaming for a world-class striker. We signed Aubameyang afterwards. We were super happy, and now we are back to screaming for Giroud even. Like, that is actually kind of nuts. Like, Vlahovic Giroud type of striker. That is nuts. Alvarez would be very interesting at Arsenal. That I give credit. Yeah. Julian Alvarez at Arsenal would be very interesting, but he has gone to Atletico Madrid. He just signed this summer, and I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. Atletico Madrid as well today. A miracle comeback, 1-0 down to Alves, and in the last minutes of the game, they made it 2-1. That was actually kind of nuts. Alvarez, just like Nathan, Alvarez is not coming to be a backup. Alvarez left City because he was a backup. Alvarez would solely come to Arsenal only, he's even playing for Atletico Madrid, but in hypothetical scenario, he would come to Arsenal only if we promised him a starting role. If he was the main guy up top, if he was leading the line. Martinez not coming to Arsenal. Now, Nathan, you don't want Arsenal, or you don't think he's gonna leave Inter for Arsenal? Although he doesn't get that much at Inter, does he? He gets very, very, very low amount. Comparatively, I think. Alvarez was a great striker and can play on the wing. Alvarez won't come as a backup. Alvarez left City solely for the reason that he was a backup there. He wants to be a starter. And in, I would say, 90% of teams, he actually is a starter. It's just that 10% of teams who have designated striker / right wing who is very, very good and cannot be replaced, that's where he doesn't fit in. And for Arsenal, the only place where he can fit in as a starter is the striker role. Because nobody's taking out Bukayo Saka. Which at the end of the day means that, yeah, it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. But yeah, ultimately, here is the case. Wait, do you see this properly? Yeah. This is the pass map. We look at these things very rarely. Well, not really recently, we have looked at this a bit more. But this is the Arsenal's pass map against Nottingham Forest. And you can see that almost nothing has changed from time when Odegaard is in the team and Odegaard is not in the team. The thing is, though, the amount of passes through Odegaard go a bit more, and you can see how important is Odegaard in terms of Arsenal's build-up. And obviously Odegaard's, the biggest amount of passes coming through Odegaard is to Bukayo Saka and from Saliba. The other thing is how little we are using our left side or the middle. It generally feels like Arsenal's tactic, as we were looking at it yesterday as well, is built that everything goes through Odegaard and Saka. Because you don't see any of these thicker lines through midfield, through number 9, through Jesus, or through Merino, or players like Jorginho, or through Trossard or Martinelli whenever he's on. We solely kind of utilize the right side. And then people say, oh, but he gets double teamed. If he gets locked off, Arsenal are clueless. Arsenal don't know what to do. And that is the case. Because specifically this one solely just shows how much we utilize the right side of the pitch. The right flank with Bukayo Saka. Because the thickest lines are the passes that are given out the most during the game. And as you can see, Odegaard and Saka interchanged 36 passes overall, which is about 6% of all the passes we did overall through a whole game. And as you can see, we totally utilize Gabriel to Saliba, then Saliba gives it mostly to Odegaard or Timber, and Timber gives it to Odegaard or Saka, and Odegaard gives it to Timber or Saka. And we solely utilize that right side of the pitch. It feels very, very lopsided, and that is the big issue. That is a big, big issue for me personally, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. Now, if we switch on... Now, the schedule for Arsenal for the upcoming games. We're going to look into that in a second as well. Yeah, Martinez is not leaving Inter for Arsenal. That is also the case. What about Marmoush or Openda or Schick? Oh, Schick scored a hat-trick today, if I'm not mistaken. That Bayer Leverkusen game against Heidenheim today was kind of mad. Heidenheim scored 2 quick goals. It was 30th minute. It was still 2-0 Heidenheim. 2 minutes later, by 32nd minute, it's 2-2 already. And the game finished 4-2, I think it was, 5-2. And Schick scored a hat-trick. Schick would be very interesting at Arsenal. I think he's a bit injury prone though, no? That for me is a big thing. Openda is an interesting one. I would be very interested to see how Openda works. But for Openda to kind of be very effective, in my opinion, he needs open spaces and play utilizing his space. And Arsenal just don't do that, do they? Yes, when we set back, give them possession, then we counter, then we do it. But predominantly Arsenal are a possession team, which means we cannot actually use that. We had Aubameyang with lots of pace, and did we ever use it almost under Mikel Arteta? Almost never. And at the end of the day, we killed him, and he just got exiled from the team. The only time when we utilized the Aubameyang space was in the first half season when Arteta just took over and we played 5 at the back, and Tierney was chipping the balls over to Aubameyang on the left wing. And that worked against City, against Chelsea. It worked like a charm. Since then, we haven't done it. And it doesn't matter how pacey players we have, we never properly utilize their pace. Yes, in 22-23 season when we were playing this attacking, expansive football, we were doing that. But since then, only time we utilize our pace is when we try to hit on counters. And since Arsenal have become this dominant, controlling possession team, we just don't utilize the pace as much, in a way. And that is also the case. Look at our midfield. Our midfield has almost no pace, in a way. Merino is slow as a granddad. Jorginho is slow as a granddad. Partey is slow as a granddad. Only player who has some sort of pace is Declan Rice. That just shows everything. Marmoush is an interesting one. I don't want to say Marmoush is a one-season wonder yet. I want to see him do more in the upcoming seasons, because this was similar what happened with Kolo Muani, if I'm not mistaken. Because he had a quite very decent season at Eintracht as well, by the way. It was Eintracht Frankfurt. And instantly for 70 million he went to PSG. So I need to see more of him. I wouldn't take him. Jorginho is what made the difference. He's more forward. That's because Jorginho can actually pass the ball properly. Jorginho is... And don't take this out of context, you dumbasses, okay? Jorginho is Pirlo-esque, if that makes sense. Because he sees... the footballing IQ he possesses is very, very high. And for him to utilize it properly, he needs to play with football players whose footballing IQ is also very high. And it's in the proper tactics. And that's why Jorginho is that difference. Because he's more forward thinking. He sees the pitch. It's like the Matrix for Neo starts falling down. And he sees the passes and the gaps where he can pass the ball. You could see sometimes when he gets the ball and he's forced to play to center back. And as soon as he plays it back to Gabriel or Saliba, he turns the head and just screams to Odegaard or Jesus or Saka or whoever to run into the gap. Because the gap was open and he could have easily given the pass through there. That today happened on a few occasions as well. His ball distribution skills and overseeing the pitch is genuinely second to none. And Partey doesn't have that. Rice definitely doesn't have that. Under Moyes, he was just hoofing the ball up the pitch, pretty much what it feels like. Partey's biggest strength is the fact that he can connect our defense to offense with many thread-the-needle type of passes between the lines or between two defenders who are trying to close him down by cutting them off with that pass. Partey is actually quite decent if we want to build out from the back. Obviously, with Jorginho, it's much more effective, but comparatively for a 6, Partey is actually natural very, very excels at. If you want the overall package, it's Partey. But if you want solely playmaking, which today worked as a charm, it's Jorginho 100%. If you want someone who causes chaos and everything, it's Declan Rice in that instance. Our DM and striker are neck and neck. My dream left wing is Rodrigo. Gyökeres, Saka, Rodrigo. That's nearly 200 million of signings, Rodrigo and Gyökeres. And to be honest, there is no argument for Arsenal not to making that. Especially if we sell properly and Kroenke sanctioned the money. Because there are players we can sell, and as soon as we sell them, that instantly builds up to 100 million. Like Zinchenko for about 25-30, Jesus for about 35-40, Kivior for about 20-25. Who else am I missing? There's someone else I'm missing. I know Tomiyasu even to some extent. But yeah, you can build about 100 to 120 to 30 million by just selling those players easily. Even Reece Nelson, he still belongs to us, by the way. Marquinhos, Lokonga and players like that. We can build about 120 to 140, even maybe 50, 150 million. And if Kroenke has even sanctioned some extra 250 million, we can easily sign those two players. And on top of that, we could actually sign someone else as well. That actually could work in that regard. That Man City Tottenham gang has just made me angry all over again, dude. That's the thing. The fact that we drew against City away now looks like a massive loss. Because obviously that we were winning till 93rd, 4th minute, and that goal that went in and they drew the game, that pretty much felt like a loss. That genuinely felt like a loss in my heart. Because if we win that game, it's a completely different story at the moment during the season. But we drew it, so it's a bit different now. Especially looking how other teams are starting to turn over City. Obviously, Rodri missing is a big issue, and I think Kovacic is injured as well, and someone else is injured, and they're struggling quite heavily. And Pep now has extended the contract and everything, and it's wild there. It's Wild West in Man City at the moment. Rodrigo would have to play right wing, and Saka would have to play left wing, and Arteta doesn't switch wings, so that's the thing. That wouldn't work. Although Rodrigo could play left wing if he wanted to, but I still believe Rodrigo is more effective from the right side. That's the thing. That is the big thing. Rodrigo, he is a left wing / right wing. For me, predominantly, he's a right winger, but he can play left wing. And if he actually could excel at being a starter role in a left wing, I don't care. Genuinely don't care. He can do it. Just do it. Where would Trossard and Martinelli come in if Rodrigo gets injured? What do you think happens? Well, Trossard apparently is getting a new 3-year extension, so he's staying at Arsenal. Martinelli, with the recent rumors that Bayern Munich are interested, that is a wild one. And for 70 million, to be honest, sell him, add 20 million on top, 30 million, sign Rodrigo, why not? In that instance, by the way. But it's an interesting one, But I strongly believe if we even signed Rodrigo and we still kept Martinelli and Trossard, someone would get angry from those two. Someone would get angry and would request a transfer, 100%. Because that means you're even falling back in pecking order even further, in a way. Arguably, there's an argument made for that. We've bought the 3rd title in a row. As soon as the pressure is off, we win a game. Like, I'm not saying that we have bought the title yet. There's about, in my opinion, 3% chance we can do it. But there's a big but to this. I like big butts and I cannot lie. The other bros can't deny. Basically, what I'm saying currently, right? Arsenal are still 4th despite the win, so we leave it at that. We are on par with goal difference with Chelsea, so basically we are tying the place. They have scored more goals, that is the sole reason. But the big thing is, it's a big question what happens tomorrow in the Liverpool game. Big question, because Liverpool are playing tomorrow, match day 13, no 14. tomorrow Southampton. Okay, Southampton is light work for them, let's be honest ourselves. So Southampton most likely will lose and Liverpool will win. It will be still 9-point gap. For me, the biggest game that will decide whatever happens is this game. Next weekend, Arsenal play West Ham away, right? Which is already a PTSD for Arsenal fans from last year. The big game for me is Liverpool versus Man City at the Anfield on December 1st, on Sunday. That is the big game. That is the big game, which basically will decide everything, in my opinion. That is the game that will decide everything. Because if Liverpool win, it will be dicey. If they draw or lose, it will be a bit different already. The thing is, though, the way Man City are playing currently, it might be a long day at the Anfield for City, not gonna lie. Trossard, depends against who. That's big depends, in my opinion. Liverpool and City need to draw next week. Yeah, if they draw and Arsenal win, we play West Ham away. Remember last year, West Ham away. That was actually a good game, 6-0 in that regard. West Ham at home was the shit show. But ultimately, that game, I don't know. For the sake of title charges, City needs to win. Because Arsenal have already closed the gap to City to 1 point. So whatever happens, happens. Liverpool and Man City, till the end of this calendar year, compared to Arsenal, have very tough schedules. Arsenal have the easiest one. So Arsenal need to try and take a full advantage of that. Arsenal's toughest game in the league, arguably, is against Man United at home. At Emirates, obviously. We'll see what's going to happen there. But Liverpool need to lose to Man City next week. And then we go from there. Because we need something to somehow close the gap. And if Liverpool keep winning, we are not closing the gap no matter we win or lose. That is a big, big thing. We need Man City to win. Exactly. We need City to win 100%. Liverpool play Madrid midweek. Yeah, that definitely could. That definitely could. That will be very interesting to see Real play against Liverpool. But Liverpool have a very rough schedule at the moment in these next few games, don't they? Don't they? Like, wait. Liverpool have City, Real. How do Liverpool go? They have Real Madrid, Man City, Newcastle, Merseyside Derby, Girona away. Okay, Fulham at home, Southampton away. They have still Spurs. Yeah, they have quite tough games still to come up, especially these ones. Liverpool, Real Madrid at home at Anfield. It will be very interesting. Then they have City at Anfield and Newcastle at the St. James. We need something to happen, basically, in these games to favor Arsenal. That is it. Girona away is a very tough game. Yeah, Girona is cooking. They have recovered from the very rough start of the season. But it's evident that they are missing Dovbyk, Savinho, Yankuto, players like that. Plus, one of their main midfielders in Alex Garcia. No, Alex Garcia, yeah, he left for Bayer Leverkusen. And one of their main midfielders is also injured, if I'm not mistaken. He got injured in the international duty. Didn't they? Girona... yeah, Porto is injured. He had surgery. Abel Ruiz. Yeah, they're one of their main strikers. Oh, here is. Angel Herrera, I think he got injured for Venezuela in the Copa America as well. Well, you can't see, it's a bit cut. But I think Angel Herrera got injured a bit. I think he got injured in international duty, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a bit of a tough one in that regard. How serious is the injury? It hasn't been confirmed yet. But apparently it's not just that he's on the risk for the red card, but he's also been injured. So he's their main midfielder, holding midfielder. So it could be a bit different one. If we make Nwaneri a right wing, it would be interesting. But the thing is, no matter how you look at things, Nwaneri will be a backup. Because he is basically, in a way, cursed in that regard. Because he has to play the position which is one of the most obviously secured ones in our team. Number 10 in Odegaard and right wing in Bukayo Saka. He kinda is cursed in that regard. Daesh, you must. Havertz on the wing. On the left wing? Well, maybe. But definitely, Spurs destroying Man City has put spanner in works for all the teams. Because it's still one game swing, basically, to drop out of top 4, and we are now... We'll see what happens tomorrow. Imagine if Southampton beat Liverpool somehow. That actually would be one of the brightest things that could ever happen. It would be only a 6-point gap, but I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, Arsenal currently are sitting 4th, only on goal difference. They are sitting 4th. They could be 3rd if they scored one more goal. 1 point behind City since Spurs just destroyed them. City are genuinely at the moment in a crisis due to injuries and everything, which is not looking great for them, which is good for Liverpool and Arsenal in this regard in title race. It also depends, can Chelsea rally on the whole season or just the first part of the season? I think Brighton will fall off at some point. Same goes for Forest and Villa. I think Newcastle could rise. They still have ability to rise. Spurs is a 50-50 with Ange. So yeah, we'll see what happens in that regard, and we just have to sit still and wait, basically, because we have done our deeds for this weekend. We have won the game. We just have to wait to see if Southampton can do anything against Liverpool. And then, of course, next weekend, we need to beat West Ham away. And then we just need to sit patiently and wait for Sunday for Liverpool versus Man City and pray for a favorable outcome. Obviously, if we want to win if they draw or City win, more City win than anything, obviously, it puts us back in some sort of a chance. Because if we can keep the gap from from these 9, if we can decrease the gap from these 9 points, presumably if Liverpool win tomorrow, to like 4 points by January transfer window, we actually could go in the transfer window with the hope that we can improve the squad and grow, and we could actually go for a striker and to make the proper adjustments. Now, it comes with a big if. Yeah, if Kroenkes do it, if Arsenal spend money, because you know how we are in January. So it's basically all based on what ifs, all at the end of the day, and hope, basically. But I guess it's the hope that kills you. It's 21 goddamn years since we won the league, and I'm kind of desperate for Arsenal to do it, I'm not gonna lie. And anything besides Premier League title or Champions League this season means Arteta has to go, for me at least. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. But for me, the last things you're saying, Martinelli right wing backup for Saka, Havertz at left wing with Sterling as a backup striker, Trossard. Dude, this is some football manager type thing happening right now. Jesus left wing. To be honest, Jesus, Trossard, bin him. Not Trossard, Sterling, bin him. Jesus, sold. Depending, maybe have a Martinelli or Trossard goes. Who knows? And play Havertz. I don't want Havertz or Trossard as strikers. I want a proper natural striker who can finish his dinner in front of the net. That's it. Not gonna lie. But yeah, I think on that note, 3 points in the books. City have lost, so we wait for tomorrow, see what Southampton does against Liverpool. But I'm not expecting anything, I'm not gonna lie, besides Liverpool's win. But yeah, for today, that will be it. So I hope Arsenal have brightened your weekend. Hope you're doing great. Great performance. Nwaneri, Saka, Partey, fantastic. And yeah, we move on. Take it day by day. Up next, Lisbon Sporting away in Champions League. But yeah, for today, that will be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, stay safe. Big up Marlon, big up Nathan, Pepper, BX Gunner, TK who dropped by, everyone who have commented, who have subscribed, who have liked and everything. Smash it, smash that like button, subscribe. Trying to hit 400 subscribers before the end of the year. Take care, stay safe, have a great evening, and see you all tomorrow.